Welcome to everyone. We are going to start with this roundtable. Please put your microphone on mute to avoid disturbance. So I am Lia Scertino. I am the director of and founder of Sea Junction. Sea Junction is a public venue on Southeast Asia, which focuses on all kinds of challenges and issues that relate to the region. And of course, at the moment, one of the most pressing problems with COVID-19 is what is happening in Myanmar. And we know that since February, there has been a coup, and this coup, unfortunately, has still not moved the international community to take action, or at the least take really constructive and clear and decisive action, besides all kinds of statements that have been made. But we know that within Myanmar, people are continuing the struggle, and they have moved or are moving from more a peaceful form of protest to what seems as armed resistance. Now we have today 4 speakers who will discuss with us this situation in Myanmar, what is happening now, but from a perspective of what is happening from within in terms of resisting the coup. And we are very proud to have very key sectors of this resistance movement represented. First, we will have Debbie Stothard, who don't need introduction. I think everyone who is working on Myanmar or know Myanmar knows that she has been active since, let's say, ages. We don't want to say how many years. She has been involved in struggling for democracy in Myanmar, of course, with people in Myanmar and in the region. So she's from ALTERSEA, and she will give a general overview of the current situation. Thereafter, we will have 3 anonymous, or people who will use a pseudonym, but it doesn't make much sense to tell the pseudonym. So let's say they are anonymous, but they represent 3 important sectors. One is a journalist, a local photographer from within Myanmar. Another one, the second one, will be talking about the labor union. It's a representative of the labor union movement, and we will finish the presentation with someone from the art community. All 3 sectors that have been key to the resistance within and are still key to the resistance within Myanmar. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Debbie, and after we will finish with the presentation, we will engage with the public. Please, Debbie.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. I have quite a lot of slides, but what I'm going to do is I might move a little bit faster, and the slides will be, the complete PowerPoint will be available upon request to the organizers. Before we start, I wanted to actually look at the proposed solutions that have been demanded by the broader movement inside the country and also the diaspora. Number 1 is de-escalation of violence. The other is work to sustain the movement for democratic and inclusive transformation. Protection for civilians, the displaced, including IDPs, but also non-refoulement, not forcing refugees and asylum seekers back to Burma, Myanmar. COVID is a key issue, and also shelter and access to food and medicines. So humanitarian and health issues have become paramount, especially when you start to realize and recognize that the entire country is engulfed in a civil war. Part of that too, at the UN level, is the demand for the global arms embargo. Some of the advocacy that was done at the UN General Assembly was successful despite pushback and resistance for certain ASEAN states. So there was language around stopping the flow of arms, but we still need to understand that it's not just the guns, it's also the what we call dual purpose technology, surveillance technology, the drones which are used by the military to target civilian communities for airstrikes. Targeted economic sanctions are important, given that the junta has moved quickly to secure control of main income earners of the country. And obviously, in the midterm, long term, there is the question of the achievement of a democratic and inclusive transformation of the country, and that would involve legislative reform, accountability, transitional justice, and that transitional justice and reforms must put inclusion and diversity that also addresses the Rohingya situation. So why is the movement asking for this? Well, some of the data I'm going to share with you will let you know. Here is a here's a graph of incidents that have taken place in the country in which there are armed attacks that either target or cause harm to civilians. And you can see from left to right, it's every year. The orange line is basically the total number of attacks in a year. The yellow line shows the number of attacks that took place during the months of February, March, and April of that year. And we could see very easily that there were 1,594 attacks in the first 3 months of the coup, which is 1.5 times, 150% of the total number of attacks for 2020. Our latest data shows that there have been between 1st of February and 25th of June, there have been over 3,000 attacks. So we're looking at basically at this point, there have been 3,000 such attacks targeting civilians or harming civilians, which is nearly 300% of last year's entire year's total. So that escalation is something that's concerning. And we also saw that around 250,000 people have been displaced, not just in the traditional border areas where communities have often been targeted for military attack, including airstrikes, which is one of the rise of those attacks in airstrikes. But we are also seeing in places like Bago and other urban centers that people are being displaced by military violence and clashes with the PDF, the People's Defense Force, and this is happening in towns as well. So when we talk about a nationwide civil war, you can already see some of the patterns. We looked at airstrikes because airstrikes is one of the big phenomena that's happening, especially in Karen State. Karen State had not been targeted for airstrikes for over 10 years, nearly 20 years. But this year, because of the coup, Karen State is one of the high number of targets. Now, on the 24th of April, ASEAN finally had a high-level meeting, a head of government meeting in Jakarta to address the issue. But when we checked and monitored the number of airstrikes that took place on that day, the 24th of April, and the following week, we could see within a week of the ASEAN meeting, which called for an end to violence, there were actually 68 airstrikes. And many of them were actually focused on civilian targets and displaced and hurt many civilians. So this is a cause for concern, especially given that ASEAN has not been very active and assertive in addressing the crisis. AAPP, the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, is a very good resource to keep track of corroborated or verified data concerning the number of people killed and arrested in detention, etc. And there's over 5,000 people still detained, and that would amount that would actually be considered the number of political prisoners. This is the highest number of political prisoners that we've encountered. And I've been working on the human rights situation in Burma since 1988, so it's over 30 years. But when we tried to go back as far as possible, and we found that in 1991, 30 years ago, there were 3,000 political prisoners. And that was the highest number we could find. And now we have almost doubled that. One of the disturbing, besides sexual and gender-based violence, including against women in detention, one of the disturbing elements is that children appear to be deliberately targeted for killing, and some children were even shot at home and they were not on the street. Civilians have been, in some areas, civilians were convicted by military court, which is actually under international humanitarian law. For a civilian to be taken to military tribunal, it means they are a prisoner of war. Scores of people have been charged with treason, for which the maximum penalty is death, and 65 people have already been sentenced to death under treason. And we saw in this picture, in this situation, Muslim activists appear to be disproportionately targeted for harassment and persecution. Talking about COVID, we could see that the coup basically worsened the very poor response to COVID. Until February, and before the coup, we saw that in many areas outside of Yangon and Mandalay, in the main towns, well, most of in Mandalay and Yangon and Naypyidaw, civil society, especially ethnic-based civil society, were critical to the response. And the military militarized that response and actually bombed and dismantled ethnic-built health checkpoints on COVID. Dr. Tata Lin was the head of COVID response because there were two parallel responses. One was a military committee and the other one was a civilian response. So Dr. Tata Lin from the health department, who was the head of COVID response, had to go into hiding after the coup and was subjected to a manhunt and eventually arrested. And she is charged with treason, mainly because she was critical of the military's response to COVID. So at that time too, we can see that health workers and doctors were considered enemy of the state because they were a key part of the civil disobedience movement. The military set up bases in hospitals. In some hospitals, they actually fired grenades and shot into hospitals. And many of these hospitals are closed because health workers do not want to come in and work under the junta. But those who were providing first aid in the streets were also shot at, and there have been many documented cases where ambulances were shot at by the military, by security forces, and health workers who were clearly health workers were also shot dead in the street. So we can see economically nearly 80%, more than 75% or nearly 80% of all bank branches in the country were shut down for an extended period. The projections for starvation, for malnutrition, and for poverty is increasing by UNDP World Food Programme. And we already saw that even the phone companies are being forced to use surveillance technology, to allow the military to surveil and monitor what people are saying. So there are very disturbing economic indicators, and we can see there's been a capital flight from the country. The Myanmar kyat have dropped by 20% in value within a short period of time, and the number of new registered companies just went totally down. So for us, we can already see the formation of the National Unity Government as one of the at the moment, the most representative and inclusive government, although it has a way to go. It's quite clear that recognition of the NUG as the legitimate representative of the country is priority because both legally, legislatively, and politically, they do represent the people more than the military junta does. So those are now some of the reasons why to give you an explanation of why these demands were made, and understanding too that what we are seeing in Burma, Myanmar is not just an anti-coup movement. Nang Momo, who was General Secretary of Women's League of Burma, said it very clearly previously in a meeting. She was saying that we are not just an anti-coup movement. It's not just about reversal of the coup and getting rid of the junta. It's actually about what happens after that. So they see this as the anti-coup movement as the first stage towards transformation of the country into a genuine federal democratic country. And this is where our motivations lie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Debbie, for this comprehensive introduction to our roundtable, which for those who have joined us is part of a conference organized by ALTERSEA, an organization of various institutions in the region and beyond, started also by Gabriel Fasal and others in our group, including Mary Raselis and others that are with us, which try to look and analyze movements, alternative movements in Southeast Asia. Although Southeast Asia is known for being an authoritarian area with a lot of centralized control, there are since the past, there have always been a very strong alternative movements, and this is the focus of ALTERSEA and of the conference. So we will go now to the second speaker, who is a journalist, please, or a photographer. He has the official name, Shiba Yato, but I am not sure it's the real name. But before that, we will have Laurie, who will introduce this project. Please, Laurie.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am Laure Sijal. I am a French freelance journalist covering Southeast Asia. And I'm also a media teacher. So some of my former students reached out after the coup to help them publish the picture and information out of the country. So we set up together the Myanmar project, which is a newsroom producing features and photo stories from 8 different places in the country. So we have covered Yangon, Salin, Shwedong, and Pie in Upper Burma, Moniba region, Mandalay region, and Tanbe and Nakpal in Rakhine State, and finally Muse and Lashio in Shan State. So now I want to give the opportunity to the young journalists who covered Yangon and who actually had the idea of this initiative. So he was in the street for 3 months every day to cover the demonstration. And now he will describe to us his experience by telling you about 5 particular days that were really important for him and the movement. So Miko, it's your turn. You can unmute.
Hello.
Hey. Okay. So you can start your presentation. Take your time. Keep the rhythm. Okay.
On February 8th,
yeah.
It is the first day. I went to demonstration in Yangon. The first day, I was just walking around. I am trained as a journalist, but I didn't know anything about safety. It is the first time I was covering the protest. I was worried that I would not be able to write a balanced news between the people and the army. But our teacher told us that for now, journalists are on the same side of the people because our mission is to present the truth about the truth. So on that day, I went to the center of Yangon, the pagoda. From 7 o'clock in the morning, thousands of people were already in the street. They were shouting against the leadership and flashed the three-finger salute. I meet people from different generations and different backgrounds, and they all want freedom and democracy. They try many ways to get attention from the international media. They wore costume, they made performance ads, they write banner in English. By 5 p.m., people start going back home because bus line stop in the evening. Uh, and and because there is a curfew since the coup, the military released hundreds of criminals from prison, gave them some money and some weapons. During curfew time, they dropped them with military trap in the city and told them to put fire to buildings and attack people. To protect our community, we stepped within camp and organized night watch in our area. On the night of March, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I joined a crew of people in Zhoumyang. I felt really happy and excited because I could see that I am not alone and that we all want to end the dictatorship. But the vibe was different on this day. People were wearing their normal clothes, but they also bring gas masks, croquet, medici, glove, and think rubber as protection. It was a big show for the people. When a 90-year-old girl was shot through her helmet by a policeman in Nebido. Since then, citizens help each other by preparing blanket or water against the tear gas. They also put line of underwear for women because the military men believe there is a ballot to pass under female underwear. So they lose time taking them down. On this day, I listened to the speeches and interviewed the protesters. I asked them, why did you come here? What is your goal? Do you support the civil disobedience movement? What do you think about people who collaborate with the army? And if the police come, what are you planning to do? At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the army arrived and attacked us. First, they used tear gas bomb to demolish the crew, then rubber bullet, and then rear gun to shoot at the protesters who were escaping. After 90 minutes of gunfire, people could finally go back to their home. On the 40th of March, I went to the street, but the military knew that many citizens were already there. So we built a barricade with bamboo pole, brick, and sandbag to make it more difficult for the soldier to cut people. The soldier arrived at 3 p.m. in the afternoon and fired smoke bomb, sound bomb, and real bullet. As brothers were running away, I retrieved a smoke bomb that fell in front of me, and I was also injured. At 5 p.m., all roadblocks were demolished by the soldier. That day, Kenya Hay, a young medical student, was killed, and with him, a girl was beaten and arrested. Some people were released later against a law of many. Since early March, policemen and soldiers used much more violence on the public in the street. More and more participants of civil disobedience movement got arrested because of theft from the land. We got the land, the informal working for the military council. The army also target keyboard fighters who are famous on social media. At night, people got called to report the authority, and the next morning, their family were called to pick up their dead body. on the 60th of March, Jiangmiao was very crowded. People put flower and offer pray on the spot where Kanyahe, the medical student, was killed. There was no crackdown for the whole day, but suddenly in the evening, the exits were closed, and the civilian car and military vehicles came very fast. Soldiers from inside the car shoot at the people with real bullets. Today was terrible. More than a dozen people were arrested and others were injured or killed. One of the boys who lived on my street was shot 4 times in the leg. He cannot walk anymore. After the crackdown, I spent the night in a house nearby the protest because I had to wait for the soldiers to leave the area to go back home. In the evening, I joined the people in the street. Every night at 8 p.m., they go out to band on pot and pan and light candle. On 27th of March is an Army 4 day in Myanmar. I went to the area of Danlin because it became too dangerous in Changmiang. When I arrived at 9:30 a.m., the revolution was in full stream. The crackdown came at about 11 o'clock. Protesters resisted for about an hour during Kode, Molotov, flaming firewall, and burning tire. They also shoot back with air gun. I was hiding in the crowd. With one hand, I was throwing back tear gas. With the other hand, I was recording the situation with my phone. Suddenly, in front of me, a young man got hit by a bullet between the legs. He died on the spot because he lost so much blood. On this day, the Honda didn't try to stop us. They just want to kill us. After this, I was too short to see someone fell dead in front of me. So I stopped going to big brothers. I also got attacked in the street by 5 men. And they stole my phone, my money, and my banking card. It's good that I had lost my phone, but after this, I couldn't walk anymore. For 3 months, I went out every day to take a picture and wait fun for the revolution. But now it had become very dangerous to do anything, and we are all underground. Anyway, at the end of March, protests start in more places because of the heavy repression. So some young people from the city went for career train in the ethnic state. Young people from the countryside formed their own army as part of the People Defense Forces. Now, small bomb explode in Yangon almost every day, and the civil war has started in the whole country. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you, Miko.
So this
Very good.
Thank you for the courageous exposition of what you have done during this the initial part of the resistance in Myanmar, and we understand that now it's more difficult to continue to document what is going on. I will pass now to the third speaker who will talk about from the point of view of the labor union movement. Please.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, so I am Yen from Myanmar. I work as a researcher in the labor issue before the coup, and so I'll present about the how workers participated in the movement of Myanmar. So in the first slide, I would like to explain and give you some basic information about the Myanmar before the coup. So Myanmar started its liberalization and so-called democratization in 2010 with the 2000 constitution, and former military general Thein Sein held the office and enacted many laws which paved the way for the Myanmar reform. And among these laws, Labor Organization Law 2011 and the Labor Dispute Settlement Law 2012 were enacted, and just an attempt to legalize the trade union inside the country, and to prove that we guarantee the rights of workers to call for the more foreign investment in Myanmar. Under this law, a number of trade unions were registered and the trade union federation were established. I will present in next slides how these organized workers involved in the 2021 Myanmar Spring Revolution. In the slide, you'll see the green mark, which are the industrial zones in Myanmar. There are 89 industrial zones in Myanmar all over the country, and 47 industrial zones in Yangon, and I cycle with red in the West Yangon. In that area, more than 2 million people live there, and in those areas, around 420 garment factories existed, and the workers from those factories have the important role in the current in the movement. In total, according to the Myanmar Garment Manufacturer Association, MGMA, most of them are the Chinese-owned factories, but there are also other foreign-owned factories such as Korea and Japan, but also there are also a number of factories which are not registered under MGMA, the Myanmar Garment Manufacturer Association. So before the coup, there are two kinds of organization: trade union federation and labor rights groups. So I added some organization names in the slide. They all have very important role in resolving the labor disputes inside the factories and implementation of labor laws. Although there are some loopholes in the current legal framework aiming to oppress the workers and unionists inside the factory, but to some extent it is applicable and effective. After the coup, these organizations became united, and later they called as the Labor Alliance groups and together fight back the military. Before the coup in February, workers had already faced with a lot of hardship, especially due to the COVID-19 consequences. Factory owner and employer used the COVID-19 as a weapon to oppress the unionists inside factory. They arbitrarily dismiss workers' leader and disband the union inside factories. Also, closure of factory without sufficient compensation. And also minimum wage is the big issue due to the worker products in 2013, government enacted minimum wages law and which prescribed to increase the minimum wages in every 2 years. The government failed to do so in the past. Since the time of the enactment of this minimum wages law until now, there was only one time increase in minimum wages. Now, minimum wages in Myanmar is 4,800 Myanmar check, and for 8-hour working per day. Worker protested in early 2020 to increase the minimum wages, though the employer and the government used COVID-19 as an excuse to reject the demand of worker. The hardship workers were facing definitely related to the insufficient wage, and most of the labor disputes are related to the wages. So increasing minimum wages is a demand of workers before the coup, and yeah, the problem related to the wages. So the coup. After the coup on February 1st, there was no mass movement before the February 6th on the roads of Yangon. A lot of organizations issued a statement to condemn the coup and to restore the democracy, the immediate release of political prisoner and Aung San Suu Kyi, and every other labor organization also issued a lot of statement. FGWM, the organization and the Federation Trade Union, Federation of Government Worker Myanmar, but later changed the name to the General Worker Myanmar. Federation of General Worker Myanmar issued a statement to demand the immediate release of Aung San Suu Kyi and other political prisoners. Other labor organizations demanded the same too. Before worker protests on February 6, workers started the campaign against the military coup inside the factory on February 5. Wear a uniform together and singing the revolutionary songs together inside the factory, and raise three finger and for the campaign. Yeah, these are their strategy to show their willingness against the military coup. It makes the tension between employers and worker rose, and some factory manager employer called the military and police to handle the problem inside factory, and police search for the union leaders and asked the names and address of the union leaders inside factory. Union leaders from FGWM decided, because of the police action to the union's leader, decided to protest in the next morning on February 6th. So this is the very first movement in Yangon. Around 5,000 workers, most of them, yeah, especially all of them are government workers, protested in Yangon on February 6th. They came from the industrial zone to the place where the middle class of Yangon lives, the township called Leden, by trucks and buses, and they marched to the Leden. This was the very fast, and it spread out all over the country next day, and also in the same day, every other areas of Yangon, there are also other strikes occur. Since then, they demanded about the abolishment of 2008 constitution and the military dictatorship, immediate release of political prisoner, and the attainment of the full democracies. And at that day, none of protesters had not been arrested though. Police and military raided the house of the union's leader, especially the workers' leader from the FGWM, the Federation of General Worker Myanmar. Since then, there are a lot of mass movement all over the country, and workers protested in front of the ILO office in Leiden and in the industrial zone, and happened. And in March 7th, 18 workers' organization called for the general nationwide strike, and organized workers workforce pressure the factory management to close the factory, and especially about it's 18% of the member factory union of the FGWM closed the factory, and also other factory are also closed. Since then, military was trying to arrest the union's leader. Military raided hostel of the workers, houses, and apartment of the union leader. So yeah, and on March 14, there was occurred Landaya massacre, and the home of the working class in Yangon. Some sources said around 2 million people are living in Landaya, and some said around 1 million people living in Landaya. It is hard to find the reliable number, but workers are in the leading role of the movements in February, and they were really active. And also organized workers are also very familiar with strike and protests, and they used the strike and protest as a strategy to receive the worker rights inside the factory. So the military use the severe way to oppress the worker and in Lang Daya. On March 14, security force killed more than 50 people in Lang Daya, and one of the most brutal crackdown anywhere in Myanmar since the coup. Also, a number of Chinese-owned factories had been burned down. At the day, protesters shouted to the police, and they told that if police shoot protester one time, one Chinese factory will be burned down, and very angrily. So and at that night, military announced the martial law in Lang Daya, and due to this, thousand of workers fled Yangon to go back to their native township and village, because a lot of workers and government workers in Lang Daya are migrant workers who came from different part of the country to work for employment, came to Yangon. So at the end of the April, most workers had to return to Yangon, because like they for the livelihood, and they have to work. More than 200,000 government workers lost their jobs since the military seized power on February 1st, and Myanmar Now to report about this. And also, one labor organization report that a million of workers all over the country lost their jobs, and so a lot of people lost their jobs since the coup. Right now, the situation of the union very worse, and most of the union's leader need to hide right now, and military trying to arrest their family member, and also there are a lot of informal in the factories and in the industrial zone. So right now, no trade union inside the factories, and most unionists have to hide right now, especially union leaders. Operation is not only by the military but also by the employer too, and in one case the employer informed the military there were the trade union leader are already in the factory, and so please arrest them. So the military came to the factory and trying to arrest. So right now there are also labor dispute happened because of factory closure, but there's no clear mechanism to solve these labor disputes. And also that wave of COVID-19 happening right now, and also at the end of the April, most of the factory reopen again, though right now a factory closed again because of the COVID-19. And for now, the labor alliance groups and other trade unions work together with the labor ministry of the national unity government, and also they are working together with the other democratic forces. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And it is very interesting to see the changing of tactics of the union movements. And it is a question how it will continue with space closing down at the moment for protest. Now we are now moving to the art sector, please.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi. Good to speak to you all. First, let me give you a little bit background of like what we were doing before the coup. I myself come from visual storytelling background, documentary and short films background. The military dictatorship has always targeted artists in the past, and it's very clear that they targeted artists in this coup as well, because on February 1st, even as they take over the country, one of the a peaceful singer, one of the singer and one pretty prominent film director were arrested at the same time with Aung San Suu Kyi and other leaders as they try to grab the power. So once the coup started, as our previous presenter have mentioned, protests didn't break out right away, but in later in February, first week of February, the protests break out pretty much everywhere. And for us who were making films before, we were very much inspired by not just the unity that everybody seemed to share in these nonviolent movement, but also how creative they are in these protests. There are dances on the street. It almost has like a carnival-like atmosphere to it. A lot of street performers performing as the protest. There are people dancing, there are people singing, chanting, people painting. So a lot of creative energy flowed out in the first month of the protest in February, and it helped. It inspired us to record them. So for most of February and most of April, we have our crew go out pretty much every day to film protests, and also to start a couple of platforms where we can kind of highlight the creativeness of this protest. So we started a platform called La Tong Jiao, which means 3 fingers in Myanmar, which mainly produce video content and video art covering the protests. And also we formed a platform called Raise 3 Fingers, which is more on the drawing and artistic side, kind of not just within the country, but also calling on artists globally to join the movement, to join our fight, because as we know, this movement in Myanmar has also inspired other movement around the region. So those are the 2 platforms that we've been working in most of the time we're under the coup. In terms of going out to film, shooting footage of the protests, we were able to do it pretty safely in February. In March, it was getting hard, but we tried still. But in April, pretty much in the middle of April, we stopped altogether. And since then, we've been working with footage from the previous months in order to create videos of the protests. So basically, in the art community, most of us are laying low and going underground. A lot of the prominent mainstream actors and actresses who spoke out against the coup has been issued warrant of arrest. So some of them are running away, some of them are in prison. Some of them have to sign an agreement saying they will no longer speak out against the government, and they were allowed to have somewhat of a normal life. But as you all know, the resistance has shifted gear, and now it's moving more towards an armed revolution. And I think in the artist community, we're also having to do a lot of soul searching in terms of participating in the movement in a productive way. I will also like to show you a short video, if I may. One of the videos that we have created on March 27th of this year. That date is pretty important because that's the date of the Armed Forces Day, and it was a day when there was a lot of casualty across the country as well, but the military still went out in their full gear to kind of show off on Military Day Parade, and the coup leader had an extravagant dinner later that night. This video is made with a combination of poetry, music, and visuals that we have shot during the protests. Yeah, can the host run the video for the audience, and then I can speak a little bit. Thank you. You can watch other videos that we have made on the same page as well. And this video is a collaboration between different groups of artists that, you know, sort of came together after the coup. This is our reaction to what is happening, and it's this poem written a few days after the coup, even before the 27th like Armed Forces Day dinner, kind of speak to how we really feel, how we felt and how we still feel right now, that we are already dead in terms of the kind of life that we have lived before the coup is no longer there. You know, as somebody who makes documentary, you know, we were able to have a window of freedom between 2011 and 2020 to be out on the street with a camera, you know, without harassment, to tell the story of our own people. But we collectively feel that that life has already died, and we have moved on to another stage. We have moved on to another existence, but that existence will not stop us from, you know, fighting injustice, fighting these coups, and bring down this military dictatorship once and for all. That's pretty much for my presentation. I will be very happy to answer any questions that you have after. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and for your speech, but also for the video, which is very strong indeed. And I hope we can share it in all our media too. I will open the floor now for the first three questions or comments or reflection on what has been said. You can raise an hand, so to say, open the video and raise an hand, or otherwise just put the Zoom hand up, or just write down in the chat room what you prefer. You can use all this way, so please don't be shy.
Well, maybe I will do it.
Okay.
Okay, yes, it's very moving in a really terrible sense to see what's happening. And I really appreciate those who are keeping track and reporting actually on the ground. No? What I want to ask is, what can you really expect from the outside world? You know, for those of us who are worldwide, people, of course, are horrified, many, of what's happening, but realistically, or not really, just what do you think might be possible? But I mean, what is the view of the people inside, beyond, people outside like us worry, thinking it's terrible, but who are the players here? China, India, UN, US. What's the political side of all this? I'm really lost here. That's it.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, I think I will ask Debbie first to react on this. What is the geopolitics of the conflict, and indeed how has the international community done so far? And then, of course, I will also ask the other presenter to speak if they want. Please.
I wanted to express my appreciation and respect and solidarity with our friends from Burma who just presented. And that video was so powerful, I got goosebumps. Thank you, Mary, for your question. One of the things that I'd like you to, I recommend anyone who's interested is to subscribe to ALTSEA's Coup Watch. We have a monthly Coup Watch, which actually provides a summary of what's going on in that month, and so the Coup Watch covering the month of June was published on 2nd of July, and there's a lot of material there organized under headings, so you can actually find out what's going on. If you're looking at geopolitics, everyone's looking at China, but the phantom menace is actually Russia. Russia is a problem, and at the Armed Forces Day gala event and parade on the 27th of March, which marked a launching of very devastating airstrikes on civilians, the guest of honor was the deputy for defense minister of Russia. Russia is at the moment the main supplier of weapons and dual purpose technology, and China has an interest, but China's main interest is in stability, and actually stability in Burma since between 2011 and 2020 profited China greatly in terms of its economic and security agenda, its geopolitical agenda. And China is completely aware that when Burma is blowing up like this, it's not good for China because it's their neighbor. Whereas Russia, whatever happens in Burma, they're not going to feel it because they are more than halfway across the world. So some of these games are also quite important to understand. Our biggest threat is actually ASEAN, because since last year, there's been no regional leadership in response to COVID, in response to the coup, and after the 5-point consensus, which was very moderate and quite compromised, 5-point consensus adopted by ASEAN on 24th of April, Brunei, as the chair, unilaterally led its own delegation to Burma, Myanmar, and only engaged with the junta, and not only undermine the 5-point consensus, but actually undermine the spirit and content of the ASEAN Charter. So we do need, and if you say, what can we do? I'll tell you what we have done as a movement, and what we have done and what can be done. First thing, as soon as the coup happened, more than 200 CSOs in Myanmar, along with allies like us, ensured that the international financial institutions suspended transfer of funds, especially loans and grants to Myanmar. So that actually accounted for freezing $11 billion that could have gone into control of the military junta. We secured targeted sanctions on several levels and statements as well as resolutions, and the number of sanctions which are being applied to target the military and military companies is growing. People have been raising funds to get cross-border aid across. There have been many people on the ground making sure that whatever money they raise goes to help and sustain the activist movement. People have gone to the border on India's side, on Thai side, on China's side to try and provide assistance, including smuggling gunshot victims over the border for medical treatment. So there's been, and the ethnic health organizations working on the ground, despite all the challenges, are doing their best to start to actually implement. They're implementing. There's better COVID protocol in the jungle of Karen State than in Yangon, I have to say, because they actually have a system for receiving newcomers to be quarantined, even though the conditions are so bad, to try and somehow prevent or mitigate spread of COVID in the broader community. We have so many people, and people are producing art, people are documenting, people are taking photographs, there's storytelling. A huge number of people are documenting all the war crimes and crimes against humanity and trying to transmit that evidence to the UN independent investigative mechanism for Myanmar for future justice and accountability. And in the movement, we've seen an acknowledgement and inclusion of the LGBT community, public apology for the treatment of the Rohingya, understanding that they have to actually abandon the Burmanization agenda and actually treat ethnic nationality leaders and communities as equals. So this is what's exciting, and we are all able to support it by keeping the narrative up. We are now 5 months into the coup. This coup is not complete. We are working to reverse the coup. This coup is not a fait accompli. The military doesn't have control of the territory. They don't have economic control. They don't have political control. This is why they're so violent. And we need to actually keep that profile up, because 5 months in the coup, everybody's kind of tired. International media is not so interested. We have to sustain that interest and that support and solidarity. We cannot give up on the movement in Burma, because the movement in Burma is not giving up on us.
Is anyone from the other speaker would like to comment?
Yes, I would like to add a little bit what the research, and also right now there were also we call the guerrilla strike, and young people and every person are trying to protest against and doing the guerrilla strike. And also there will be the new challenge is the COVID-19 and lack of oxygen and lack of oxygen and medical treatment is the huge problem happening in the ground. So I think regarding what the question, how the people outside of the country can help is to help the every possible way to for the people inside the country, a kind of humanitarian aid and for the fundraising for the safe house and every other things and yeah, I just want to add this then. Thanks.
For the others? Okay, there is a question. Yes.
Hi.
Okay.
So
yeah.
one of
Go
the
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
One of the things that, like, for me, kind of international community and like including like UN can do, I don't know what's stopping them, is that we do have an elected government that we elected in 2020. You know, in my lifetime, I've only voted twice. I've voted in 2015 and I voted in 2020, and 50% of my vote was stolen. You know, I only got to vote twice, and one time it ended up with a coup. But we voted for a government, and however difficult the situation they are under, you know, national unity government still exists. And I think international community should have more dialogue with the people that we have voted for, in terms of recognizing them as, you know, as our real government. I think that would be really, really helpful. You know, you can condemn, you know, what the military is doing all you like, but if you're not accepting that this government that we have voted for, then it's kind of like, you know, what do you want from us, you know? Our election was stolen by these basically mafia. You know, the military is basically operating like a mafia. They stole our election, and we have a elected government that represent us. So if you want to help us, then talk to them, negotiate with them, help them. That would be very, you know, that would be awesome. That's it.
So from there is a question about two questions actually now. Now one is about for Laurie and the journalist also, who used the name of Miko Shiba, but is a pseudonym. Is there still any possibility for you to photo shoot and investigate? And then from Lisa Bruten, we have a question about the Telenor cell, and you can read it also in the chat. What do you all think about Telenor's sale of its Myanmar business to the Lebanese firm with ties to the dirty money? Will this have a big impact? So that is the second question, which has been also, we can talk more, and there is also some comment from Debbie about the national unity government. But let's go first to Laurie or to our friend Miko Shiba to react on the question. Yes, please.
Okay, so the first phase of the project was basically this 100 days where protest was happening in the street. But as Miko said before, and at the end of March, mid-April, it became really impossible to go with a camera in the street. So what we are doing now is that each journalist in the area continue to record every event day by day of what's happening in the place. So where the arrest made, where they released, where the violence in the village, what happened with the refugees, what happened with the COVID. So we record this regularly every day. And the idea, like Debbie mentioned, is that this information would be used for international justice mechanism, or at least organize, archive in an academic way, because some of the picture and information we have, no other journalist or media are there anymore. So I made a quick survey 2 weeks ago. Most of Myanmar village, I would say, because in town you still have some media presence. There is not a single journalist anymore, because before there was 1 or 2, and this 1 or 2 journalists are in hiding or have left. So you have a vast amount of territory where you don't have reliable, verified information anymore. So we still try to do this on our small level to just write what's happening in our 8 places. And now the idea is to go to the second phase of I want to find feature for them subjects that we will publish together on the same newspaper than the picture about really what happened post-coup, what happened in the places post-coup in terms of development, in terms of environment, in terms of economy. So now we are looking to work on thematic theme about post-coup development, so both picture and writing. But going in the street is not very possible, and I wouldn't ask them to do this because it's far too dangerous. But we can ask Miko, what are you doing? What are your activities? Because you told us that most of your time before was going in the street, taking picture, and he didn't tell it too much, but he was also very involved in raising funds with booth in the street and for every campaign. So could you tell us, Nico, what are you doing at the moment, and how do you plan to continue your journalistic work? I don't know if he's unmute.
Hello, is that is the question for me?
Yes, it's for you. What are you are you doing now? Oh no, sorry, Mokun, Miko. Sorry.
Oh, and then maybe also you can comment
but
too, I think
would
some
also
are
be
the same shared challenge of not being able to use visual media. Yes, please.
So for in terms of footage, you know, it's not possible to go out with a camera anymore outside. So we're kind of planning on other media that we can use that does not involve people, like animations, comics. And I've always worked very closely with the poets here, so I want to create more kind of poetry pieces with visual elements that we don't need to go out and shoot. I think we can still create videos that we can shoot within our home, for example, or in a space kind of house or a location. But in terms of like creating content, of course, it's very limited. But animation and comic it's another area that we're looking into. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, I think this answer, and there is still we are waiting for the Japanese Mikoshiba to comment.
It's because he's fan of manga, so
yeah,
anime.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
If he wants to comment on this.
Yeah, and just ask him. Is he still?
Maybe it's not online.
No, he's online. Did you unmute? Because he's online, so just have to unmute him. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about my slow connection. So your question was
we were thinking
now.
Yes.
Now I was.
You cannot use your camera. What are you doing?
Now I was doing a journalist work on social media. With I have other friends. They get me so many information from their place. Sometimes they send me a photo and send information to me. So I will collect that and I will chat. I will chat their facts and write an feature for my website. Now I was doing that. So this condition, but I can't go to the street. Also, I didn't have a camera, and my phone was stolen by the same man. So I can go out to the street. And the other problem was COVID-19 is more spread in the Yangon. So I was better to work in the house. So I was stay in the house and doing my work on the social media.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this is really what is coming out from all the presentation and the comments. Indeed, that the space for a physical action because of COVID as well as the violence is less than the beginning of the opposition to the coup. So it's a question also for the future. And I am here taking my moderator hat off and asking a question of what you see then as a possibility of indeed framing the resistance or the opposition in a different way. We have heard that one way is the armed struggle, but not everyone feel comfortable with that. So that is something to reflect maybe later in the panel. But for now, we have Lisa question about what you think about the sale of Telenor. Who wants to answer to this? If no one, I will ask Debbie.
Because I work on business and human rights, especially in the context of Burma. Now, the UN Working Group on Business and Human Rights put out an advice a few weeks ago, basically saying that the conflict in the country requires companies to actually improve their human rights due diligence to make sure that, firstly, they are not contributing to human rights violations, that they actually take steps to prevent being contributing to human rights violations, and also review their business relationships, like who do they do business with, including the junta. If it's a military-owned or military-controlled company, then quite clearly we know under the junta, there's more likelihood of human rights violations by those kind of business partners. Telenor was already in trouble because there was a complaint against Telenor that one of its transmission towers was used as a sniper post to kill Rohingya civilians in 2017. And the complaint is being investigated under the OECD guidelines. Now, Telenor obviously recognized that it was in deep feces. I'm trying to be careful here, diplomatic here, because it really was not in a position, if it stayed in Burma, it's not in a position to comply with its own human rights standards. It would have to compromise even further to allow the military direct access to the phone system, etc., etc. And they got more worried about complaints being lodged against them, so they divested. And actually what Telenor did was a bad thing, because when we talk about the responsible business conduct, the responsible business conduct also extends to who you sell your share to. If you know this company has a bad human rights record and you're selling them your share just to get rid of, make some money and get rid of the burden, we are hoping to lodge a complaint against Telenor for that purpose. One of the big issues that happened, and this is relevant to what Ye was talking about, was in advocating to say French companies. Some French companies were indirectly involved in the advocacy and directly. The issue is also to demand that striking workers are paid their salaries. And if those workers were amongst those killed, then the company has an obligation to pay the salary that's owed to their survivors, to their surviving members of family, the nearest family member, and the company has an obligation not to give out details of striking workers to the authorities, knowing full well that they might be put in further danger. So this kind of responsibility also extends to the subcontractors, not just the brand, but also the factories that they hire to make the clothes for them, or to make the components for them. So this is quite important for us to understand. Telenor panicked and ran away, and actually we noticed that the junta tries to detain telephone company people from leaving the country even, because they want to have an access to check and monitor people's communications. So we have to find ways and means on how to deal with this. And if it's impossible to avoid the military, then you have to put the technology in such a way that people know they're being tapped, that they can hear they're being tapped, and they know to be careful in their communications.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
yes, thank you for the explanation. And we go now, if there are other questions or otherwise, please, can you comment on indeed what is your, considering the more reduced space for the kind of protest has been now, what is for the future? Or what would be the strategy that you or your community is thinking about for the future months? How you see the situation from within? And this also related to the role of the national unity government. I think it was said, and it is a problem, that the international community still, I don't think there is any official recognition. They are invited to all kinds of meetings and engaged, but there has not been any official recognition so far of the NUG, and what does it mean? I mean, of course, all the countries are still in wait and see what is happening, which is can be disappointing. But how this relates to your view of what is going to be? Also, I mean, the labor union representative, you say that, a researcher, you say that the labor movement is working closely with the Minister of Labor of NUG. What does this imply? Are you able to work together, and in what sense? Maybe you can expand on this, your vision of the next few months.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Right now, as far I know, regarding what the activities, labor organization and labor alliance group working together with the national unity governments, they together organize the strike in Yangon and other cities of Myanmar, and other things that they advocate international community to stop the many income for the military, like to like stopping bail to the military by total, and also they all initiated together called the blood money campaign, I think, and also right now there are a lot of international brands, international appeal brands decided to come back to Myanmar for the workers. Primark and the other H&M brands announced they will come back to Myanmar and work together with their suppliers, but they will do due diligence and for make sure their supplier will not connect with the military, though. the leadership of the labor unions think that like they don't like such kind of behavior of international brand, but in actual workers need the job, and so this is still still a debate for the labor union, but I think in next 2 or 3 weeks, there will be the statement about the stand of the labor union on the reordering of the global appeal brand from the Myanmar garment factories. Yeah, uh, and regarding what the question you asked about the struggle and the non-violence and things, and we all the community near me and a lot of my friends discuss that like we all need to use both. Also, we have to hold again to stop the violence of military, and on the other hand we have to do the for the civil rights we have to do the non-violence thing, and that's the reason why there are a lot of like guerrilla strike in Yangon and other cities and townships of Yangon, and also a lot of people are trying to join the People Defense Force. Yeah, this is what I think, and yeah, 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 that's all for me.
Thank you. Are other who want to comment on this? Okay, Mary Rosellis first.
Yes. All right. Let me just say that last Monday in New York, the United Nations Security Council had a major meeting on, it's called a high level open debate on children and armed conflict, right? And Security Council had a session on that, and the head of UNICEF was there to show what is happening to children in warfare. And there are many cases of that. I don't know whether I have her speech actually. I doubt that she mentioned specific countries, but there. Anyway, the whole notion that in all of this, don't forget that they're children, and we have I was once in UNICEF, and we did have the experience that when you focus on children and you can mobilizations were done in Sudan. I was there when that was to stop the war, even for a short time, even for 3 days, 5 days, to let humanitarian groups come in who are already around there, to come in and at least provide children vaccinations against measles, because that's what kills them in this situation, to provide food, etc., etc. Um, so I wonder, I mean, just, there are many strategies, but if you're talking about the UN, here's a case where if the NGOs particularly would mobilize and say to UNICEF, the regional offices in Bangkok or New York, and say, your chief gave this statement, here we are in Myanmar, and at the end of it, she says, UNICEF is ready to assist whenever we are called for. Why not take her, seriously, and go to, if there's no UNICEF rep in Burma, that might be hard, or Myanmar, but the regional office, there's a regional director there, and say, hey, I can send you the text of what the head of UNICEF said, what the Security Council said, and say, how about doing, I'm not just saying this, we call that children as zones of peace. They called it in some places days of tranquility, corridors for children, things like that, depended on the situation. What it called for was then UNICEF, really the time of James Grant, who is a very powerful figure, got all the humanitarian groups together with, well, I guess the main players around, the countries around, right, who had influence. In this case, it could be ASEAN, to say, to tap their conscience, what about children? You have to give children some time to breathe. And we know from, and I know that from, this was done successfully. It's a very complex process in Guatemala, which was fighting all the time, I think in Colombia, I know in Sudan because I was involved in that one. I think also in Nepal during that, and I believe in Lebanon, and I think there are others. They actually tried in the Philippines too, and on a smaller scale. So I'm just wondering, uh, tell the UN, put your money where your mouth is. Talk to UNICEF. You're supposed to be the one who cares about children. Here are children dying. This is how many. They're across the border already in Thailand, in China, wherever. What are you doing? I mean, really call them. I think that, they have to respond. If you send it and then you publicize it on the press, the media are always looking for something interesting. It might happen.
Okay, so
Hold them to account.
yeah,
The UN.
Mary, we will send you to all the UN to account with your powerful, but this is a joke, of course. I think many are trying to hold the UN and ASEAN to account, but I am not sure so far it has been, but maybe with the issue of children is a more strategic entry point. I saw that Laurie wanted to comment and then on this, and then we will continue. There is a comment from Clue Balls. Yes, Laurie?
Yeah, I put my my question in the chat, but it was just to finish with Telenor too. I wanted to ask Miko and Mokun actually, what are the consequences for them that there is not a single phone operator that provide guarantees security, safety, anonymous. So what are the strategies? Is still possible to protect yourself and your device now?
You are asking to?
Think to Miko and Mokun would be good. Maybe
Okay.
for Mokun,
Hi.
if you want to start. Yeah.
Oh,
what are the consequences of the lack of safety in the phone? Yeah.
Yeah, we all kind of got like cyber security lesson in the past 5 months using an encrypted messaging devices, not taking my phone when I go outside, having Google authentication, and like the Latonian page and sites are controlled by somebody outside the country and not connected to me in any way, like traceable to me digitally. So that's some of the precautions that I have to take and my team has to take. And yeah, and especially because some of the work that we do is collaborative, it's kind of hard to, you know, hard to keep the communication kind of safe, but we do our best that way. In terms of the question of like the perspective on the continuing with the struggle, I think like Debbie said earlier, this coup is not completed. I mean, honestly speaking, these guys these guys are not that smart. We have to be smarter than them. We have to be able to endure. We have to be, I think the main thing is we have to be smart. Some of the things that they're doing, I mean, it's quite ridiculous, to be honest. You know, there's a strike against paying the electricity bill, and that has been going on for the past 5 months. And recently, they're like going around the neighborhood with a loudspeaker asking for money. Nobody's going out to pay them, and they just look like idiots. And these guys are trying to run this country. Oh my goodness, help us, right? So we have to continue. We have to persevere. That's the only way. I think for us, we do need a kind of a safe space or safe hub somewhere outside the country that can kind of coordinate our movement inside the country, and who can kind of like run around and also raise funds for you know, for the work that the artists are doing here, for example. And we will, even though videos are harder to make, we will continue with whatever that is available that will be you know, good for our, like, say our safety. Like I said, comic, we're thinking of podcasts, you know, we're thinking of podcast, animation, posters, more written words, for example, poetry, as always. So we will continue one way or the other, but there are a few key things that we need to start to establish in the coming month or two so that we can continue. Thank you.
Can I add one suggestion? Sorry.
Who is talking?
Yes, please.
Mary, one more.
Mary,
As a
yes.
result of this, you know, the posters and so on, when I was in UNICEF in Africa, when South Africa was, of course, still under the old regime, and UNICEF, but the Ford Foundation at that time was very influential in providing funds to artists, social scientists inside NGOs, as well as those who were outside as refugees, to support efforts like that, you know, that they were themselves doing. I remember Ford Foundation was very strong there. And actually, UNICEF also supported many of the you know, NGO uh, activities there, because there was no UNICEF. UN was not in South Africa, of course, at the time. So from outside, UNICEF, I know, was providing assistance to some NGO groups, sort of semi under the table, shall we say, you know. And it's worth exploring, you know, because when you can justify anything for children, what soldier theoretically, what military would say, you know, my children should have a future, should not have a future, etc. Anyway, I'm just to say that there are mechanisms like that which could be explored for people like you who are really doing it on the ground. There are many of such organizations from outside who would be very happy to connect if they knew how to do it, if they knew about this, if they knew how to do it. So maybe you as a group might think of how can you become a center of information for those who want to help the community groups, well, like the people who have just spoken. That's it.
So I think indeed already there is Burma, Myanmar has always been well connected with organization outside of the country. And I think this is already, like Debbie has mentioned, is already ongoing, that group inside and outside are working closely together with the UN, with ASEAN, but the reality of the international community at the moment is also that they are concerned about COVID and about many other issues, and they have shown so far not so much willingness, especially the UN, have let over ASEAN to take over. I am commenting here my own particular view on this matter. They have washed their hand by giving ASEAN the role of mediator. And as we know, and as has been said, that role ASEAN is not playing very effectively, also because many of the countries in ASEAN are authoritarian government themselves. But after this rant, let me go to the question of clue balls, which I think was the main, what I tried also to move the discussion toward, indeed, considering the current situation, what are the perspectives about continuing this struggle? How can be continued on a daily basis? I am reading here from Clue, also considering the COVID situation. So we are really in front of two main challenges. The COVID is difficult for Southeast Asia at the moment. We have seen the numbers going up in an area where up to recent we thought that was a low prevalence area. Now Indonesia is almost #1 in the world in terms of cases, and that are also growing fast. And in Myanmar, we know that there is the civil disobedience movement, and the health system is fragile. So this is clearly even more challenging than a neighboring country. Thailand is also at the moment concerned with the increase of cases of COVID. So this again, country are going to look more about themselves rather than thinking about Myanmar necessarily. So because we are seeing this increase all over the region, but taken and having to confront this difficulty, what are possible perspective strategies that concretely also this go back to the question, how can the NUG transfer funds? Are they able to raise funds and transfer enough funds to support, for instance, the civil disobedience movement? Can you maybe comment on this broader question of how to move forward in a situation which at the moment does seem particularly difficult. One, because the international community is preoccupied with many other things. Second, because of the violence that the government is, that the coup, the military are still entered because of the COVID explosion in Southeast Asia and in Myanmar.
I think we have to remember when we talk about financial transfers that we did this before 2010, before the banking system was updated. There was a hundi system. There's been lots of people sending money in through people who have money, for example, foreign bank account, and we say, okay, put it in your account and then you hand it out in cash. In reality, Myanmar is facing a cash crisis. And the internet shutdowns and the attacks on workers is what led the banks having to shut nearly 80% of the bank branches having to shut down the whole country. But the fact that mobile data is gradually returning is sign for hope, because there's a lot of e-money, using the mobile phone. And so that's one of the ways that we have previously distributed cash in the country, that you send it to the phone credit, to e-mobile, e-commerce, through e-commerce. So one of the big issues that we recognize is that the movement actually doesn't cost that much relative to what's going on. The NUG has ways and means of getting resources in the country. And eventually, they're trying they're actually making bank transfers possible again. So the question is, how do we revert to the systems we used pre-2011, which we used for many years? How do we reactivate those systems when the situation stabilizes? And when we talk about cross-border aid, we have been advocating for cross-border COVID programs, that there should be a buffer zone of COVID vaccinations on the Thai-Burmese border. The China Red Cross has been vaccinating Kachin people in Kachin state in non-government control area. They never bothered to ask permission from the junta. They just did it. And so there's a little bit more protection on the China border. It's in China's interest to have population on the other side of the border who can resist COVID. And also the extra benefit of that was that when the military, the China Red Cross was in those areas, they didn't put airstrikes. So they avoided launching airstrikes in areas where they knew the China Red Cross was present. So at the moment, I'm just telling people, do like China, do a cross-border vaccination protocol, because ethnic health organizations actually know how to administer vaccines. And a lot of the activists who are under threat have actually fled to the border areas. So this is one way of responding to COVID. And local communities already, many of the community organizations were teaching communities how to make their own masks and how to make their own hand sanitizer last year. So if we have a de-escalation of violence, then it's going to be the communities themselves who start helping themselves. But at the moment, people are saying they are more concerned about dodging bullets than dodging the virus. At least you get the virus, you might have a chance of survival. If you're shot by the military, maybe not.
This is I think what we heard a lot, especially at the beginning. Now I hear also differently, in a sense. Also in the people who have spoken now, they all have mentioned COVID. So I think it's becoming more of a presence, a more visible presence, and this not only Myanmar. I mean the fact that also. For Thailand, as we know, vaccine is problematic. There is not enough supply for whatever reason that is the case. That, of course, also prevents eventual border collaboration that could, like the China one. So the situation may be. But indeed, the question is what kind of strategies that still can, and as you said, I think in your comment in the chat, people are very creative and able to find ways of maneuvering, and they are used to resist in Myanmar for sure, more than in other country in the region. But going back to Clue, I think she had many questions in one question or in two questions, but it included also about the economic disaster and what are the possibility of intervention. And I think for people outside who care about Myanmar, as well as for people, probably this is one of the biggest questions. What kind of intervention can be done in a situation like this? Now, humanitarian relief was supposed to be one of the intervention, was also in the ASEAN 5-point agreement. That was one of which seemed to be the easiest of the agreements. But I don't think any of that has been, what is the situation there? Have you heard of, all of you, of any progress on the issue of humanitarian help provided to Myanmar? Particularly was supposed to be in the border area, but I don't think much has been happening. But please feel free to comment.
Well, can I say something? Mary? Mary wants to, I just want to add something.
Yes, please.
Just to remind you that on the cross-border vaccination, especially COVID, UNICEF is the world's leader, or the UN leader, in distribution of vaccines. That's its job, number one at the moment. Call on it. Call on it. Check in Bangkok, because they can do that. They've done it in many countries. Why don't you see? Maybe they're doing it now. I don't know. But you should ask them, and if you have a plan that you can get them across the border into Thailand or wherever, or anyway, a plan that's feasible, they're going to do it. They should do it anyway. I think you should try. It's worth trying because that's their job. They got that mandate for COVID.
Yes, I think this we may try. I mean, someone may try again. Anyone can try with putting more pressure on the UN agency. But if you know the situation of COVID vaccine at the moment in Thailand, and that deserve a roundtable on its own, is I think is still very much a struggle to get vaccine, let alone for another country. But actually Myanmar had started quite soon with vaccine compared to Thailand, much before Thailand. But is the situation that doesn't make vaccination possible. I would be interested also to know more, indeed, whether the medical personnel is now willing to work, back to work, or still not, because that, of course, also is a major obstacle to the distribution of vaccine. But I want to go back to the issue of safety, because we had not heard from our friend, the journalist, whether he wants to share something about how to keep the telephone safe, and also about transfer of funds more generally. What is his experience on this and what he can share with us?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Last 3 months ago, I was first to go the protest. I was protest myself using the bike. I was using VPN, and I was using the mobile SIM card Telenor. When last 3 or 4 months ago, I was using my day SIM. But now my day was Bangkok email. No one was use my day anymore. I was use Telenor SIM and use VPN for using internet. Uh, when when in the field, I was filled with the army. Uh, there was a lot of problem. The military, the Honda, what does it want to demolish us? They just want to kill us. So if they can, we have to run hurry and hide somewhere, or we run hurry and hide somewhere, and sometimes we have to call a taxi and move other place quickly. After I go protest many days, they were trying to search me in the protest, so I can't go back home a lot of time. So I was going to stay my friend house a little while, just 1 or 2 weeks. After that, the military was made a camp near my town. So my mom and I was moved my aunt house for 1 month. But now my family was totally moved from our last town. We are now stay there at the other town right now. But now Telenor was said they are business to M1 Group. M1 Group. So I was not anymore used the Telenor SIM. I was now use the Ooredoo SIM. Some people say or M1 Group is can't believe because it was connected with military or mine there. So I was using Ooredoo. Maybe I think it was more safe for me. And and now the really problem was the military was did it come to find directly. They just um they just ask the land. They just ask the land to find the sand people who get in 505 car. So we are now not totally afraid for the military. we just more afraid for the land. They can get information about us. So we have to stay keep quiet in the house. Sometimes we go outside maybe 1 or 2 days in a week. Now I have a big problem with the internet because I was uh, last 2 months ago it was Telenor is using a good, but now I use Ooredoo same, but it wasn't good in internet, so internet is more difficult for me right now. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. So
Thank you.
this really showed the challenge of
Yeah.
the condition that needs to be overcome to be able to continue to oppose the military government, the unfinished coup, so to put it in in some other words. So we are already close to the end of this session, this very interesting roundtable. I want to give a final chance to all the speakers to give some comments, particularly about what you see, what next. Just give us an idea of your thinking on this, please, Debbie.
We just got to keep on doing the work. Just keep on doing the work. Keep on sticking to it. And to all my brothers and my brothers on this panel in country, please stay safe. But I know you're not going to stop. I know you're going to still do the work, and that's what's important. And I hope everyone else who's listening will continue to support them in very practical ways as well as in spirit.
Thank you. Okay, Laura.
I think, I have no political or economical power, so I think people like us, I really think that the most important is help with education and opportunities, because people have it really hard. So it's the job of some organization to feed them, to vaccinate them. As Debbie and Marie said, this organization have to fulfill this role now. But what we can do is offer a midterm to long-term vision, because this is also what people need beyond the short-term survival need. I think as for human solidarity, this is what we can bring, help with education and work opportunities. I think is a very empowering way to help the movement from outside. And yeah, so this is what we should continue doing, to offer something else than the pure survival that is really, really hard mentally to wake up just to survive. So to offer a bigger picture, a bigger idea, and this is, I hope, what will save people to work on the future, on perspective, and it gives some hope in a very constructive way.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so now let's go to the three brothers, like Debbie calls it. Okay, the journalist first.
Nico, you want to have a word for the end, where what is most needed, and what's your idea for you for your journalistic career on the long term? Do you want to say anything?
If not, we go to oh yeah, okay.
I just really first thing I just really say it was a really great roundtable. I got so many experience many
You
about
see your face.
I I knew many things about the Myanmar and about the UN too and UNICEF too. Uh, I would really like to speak with you guys. It was my first time, so I will be a little difficult to understand. Um, if something I tell around spelling or something, I apologize. And but everything is great, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Miko.
And nice seeing your face briefly. Okay,
Yes.
Yayin.
You have to disappear again now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and also thank you for organizing this and also letting me giving me a chance to present here. And regarding what is the next is like I would like to request to the every listener and organizer, that everyone here to stay listen the updates happening inside the countries and always be ready to support the whatever the needs happen inside the country. And so for now is I can say only in general for now, and if there's anything special and specific, then I will definitely let you all know about how you can help. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And last but not least, the artist.
Hi. Yeah. First of all, thanks for having us, and it's good to have this discussion with other people, because it's a discussion that I have with my colleague and also with myself in my head all the time. So it's good to listen to you guys. I think the main thing that I want to say is that we are going to win. We believe that we are going to win. I think that's really important. We can't do anything without believing in something, and we believe that the truth must prevail and that we will win, no matter how difficult it seems. I mean, the odds may be stacked against us. I don't know. We have been ruled by military dictatorship for decades and decades, but we believe that we are going to win. We are going to win this fight. I believe in our solidarity and our resourcefulness can overcome this. One of my friends put it, this very stupid coup. There was a poster that came out earlier in February when we were protesting, which basically said that all they have are guns and all we have is each other, and we gonna have to help each other if we want to win. Yeah, that's it. And I would like to end by saying the Yerobo Oyami, which means the revolution will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you. And actually, this should be the concluding words of this roundtable, but unfortunately, I have to do my duty as moderator and thank ALTERSEA, which is the organizer of this, is part of a conference, the first ALTERSEA conference, and C Junction, my own organization. We are proud to be a member of ALTERSEA together with many other organization, including Ateneo de Manila, where Mary is associated, and many organizations in Indonesia and France and other parts of the world, which I will not read one by one, but with this I like to thank for the opportunity to meet, especially, sorry Debbie, but I have to say I am especially thrilled to have met the three brothers, because indeed it's very important for us to hear your voice and what you are doing and what you are thinking and how you see, and then consider what we can do to support whatever you are doing inside a country. I hope this open up new partnership with you all, including for Sea Junction, and I am sure for ALTERSEA also. So thank you very much, and indeed, may you win this struggle, because your fight is not only important for Myanmar, but frankly, is very needed for all of Southeast Asia, if not the entire world. I think we are all confronted with very conservative and authoritarian forces, and you're keeping up the struggle is a very good example for neighboring country and for the rest of the world. So please keep going, and I hope indeed that you and us will all win, and 3 fingers here. So thank you and see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rosalia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
And
Thanks,
you will
bye-bye.
win. Bye.